Hello, I'm Brian Gribbin, and this is my show.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's your host Brian, and welcome back to another episode of the McGribbs Show. I'm not going to give any news this time. I think you guys have heard enough news, and considering how hectic this year has been, I think we're going to use a break from it, and I think I've spoken enough about what I'm going to be doing the next couple of weeks. So, no news this time, but I will say on this episode, I'm going to start with some shoutouts. Got some 4 musicians we're going to talk about. Nice little quartet going there. After that, I'm going to show footage from 2 very special guests and good friends of mine. And lastly, I'll give you guys a little insight on who's coming on my podcast, All Music Matters and That, next week. Before we do begin, I'd like to give a special shout out to Alexander Letenin. I hope I'm pronouncing the last name right, so I'm sorry, Alex, if I accidentally said your last name wrong, but he showed up on Ash Wells' Drum Radar series, and I was trying to get him on my podcast, and we kind of been messaging back and forth, and it looks like he's kind of struggling right now, so I think he could use some love and support right there. So when you guys find some time, just reach out to him. I think he gives his email on his YouTube channel. And just show him some support right there. I think that would really mean a lot to him too. But you know what? Let's not waste any time. Let's get right into the shoutouts. Alright, so let's get into the shoutouts. For this week, we are rolling with 4 musicians, going to make a nice little quartet. And the first one we start off with is Unchained Drumming. And this happens to be 10-year-old Manny Gerard. It looks like he's just been a couple months into his YouTube journey. It looks like he does some drum covers and some other videos in between. So look out, Stampede 7. Looks like you got some competition coming your way. But you can find the link in the description. Let's go and show the little man some support. Next on the list is So Basic. And this is a guy out of the UK. Looks like he does bass covers on a 5-string bass. And the one that I actually found out was Iron Maiden's Wrathchild. Looks like he does pretty damn well too, so let's go over and show some support. Next on the list is Chris, aka Good Enough Guitar. This one's interesting because instead of doing the guitar covers, looks like he does some teaching, finger picking, guitar techniques, strategies, a little motivation here and there. Pretty much anything but covers. In terms of just trying to boost people's, motivation or to take up guitar and maybe even learn how to do certain techniques. So, looks like he does some good work right there. So, let's show some support right there. You can learn a lot from him too. And the last on the list is a vocalist, Olivia Verana. And this one I actually stumbled upon recently. And he does do metal, specifically death metal. But regardless, he does have a killer voice too. So, I have to admit, does an excellent job. I know it's not for the faint of heart, and I know it's not really everybody's forte too, but you know what? Looks like he just recently started off on his journey as well, so let's go out and show some support right there. Keep on rocking. Like I said, you can find links to your YouTube channels in the description below, and let's make it interesting here. If these guys were to form a band, what do you think their names should be? I look forward to seeing what your answers will be in the comments below too, so... Alright, so let's get right into the clips. So like I said, we got 2 clips from very exceptional drummers this week, and the first one on the list is Fred Rock Fisher. I reached out to Fred recently to see what he got, and this is what he sent, so take it away, Fred. I love it too. And even the wave at the end. All right, I got to give it to you, Fred. That was pretty damn good. I think that's going to be tough to beat, to be honest. But actually, at the end, I was kind of hoping you would do the yabba dabba doo. Because actually, this much I will spoil. We did talk about Fred Flintstone in our podcast episode, so that much I will spoil. But regardless, let's move on to the next one. The last one happens to be Tyson Wade drumming. Tyson, he came on my podcast recently, and boy, did we talk for a good bit there too. So I was in need of some videos right there, so I reached out to him to see what he got. And this is what he sent to me. This actually happens to be an old clip from his Wake Up the Nation group. So let's see what he's got. Dude, the speed, the accuracy, man. Dude, he was on fire. Oh. I don't know. Both of these clips, they blew me away this week, and I don't know what else to say. That was just awesome, too. So thank you, Fred. Thank you, Tyson, for sending those clips right there. I hope you guys enjoyed it, too. And so that wraps up another episode of The McGribbs Show. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, and consider subscribing below. And if you guys have any clips, just send them my way. I'll give you guys a nice little shout out too. If you guys want to come on my podcast, All Music Matters and that, just reach out to me on the socials, and I'll reach back out to you, and we can schedule something then. Until then, you guys stay safe and stay tuned. Here's a nice little clip of next week's podcast episode with Fred Rock Fisher.
Well, I started playing when I was 10 years old and had a really enthusiastic, awesome teacher that I took lessons from for a summer. And then I got involved with, junior high and high school band, doing anything percussion related whatsoever. I was in. So I did marching band, concert band, jazz band, percussion ensemble. I played with the choir. I played with the orchestra. And my band teacher I had in high school was incredibly supportive and encouraging as well. And so he had a lot to do with my earlier years, getting all that going. And he was a guy that would look up for opportunities with the students that were excelling, to do things outside of school. So one of those was playing with the local Philharmonic, I guess, version of what was available at that time. And those groups were comprised of, adults in the community, doctors and lawyers and,
whatnot, yeah.
Politicians and, everybody, this culmination of things to have these big symphonic type band stuff. So I'd play timpani or snare drum or, vibraphone or marimba, whatever was needed at that time. So yeah, that was a really great start. And through my high school years too, I had other drum teachers that were super amazing people. And they were also really involved with the local music scene and playing out. And so it was like real world application type stuff. So that's how I got started. And I just ran with it.
Did you go off to college to go into music and stuff like that, or did you just kind of jump into it after high school?
I did not go to college, but as we said before about Boise State, now this is no way that this would fly, in modern day times.
After 2000, that's when they changed everything up. But in the 90s, we were able to get away with it, that sort of thing. But what happened?
Well, I knew the band director for Boise State, and I called him up and I said, I have no interest in going to school, but I would love to play in the marching band. Is that possible? He's like, well, that's a pretty unusual situation, but first of all, you'd have to come audition. So I went, and at the stadium there, underneath the stadium, they have all the rooms for equipment and that sort of thing and offices. And I went there and grabbed some sheet music and put it in front of me and put some sticks in my hand and said, play that. I looked at it for a moment and went, okay. So I played whatever was there, and he looked at the percussion director and they looked at me and they said, be at all the rehearsals and all the performances.
It was easy as that.
I wasn't even a student. Yeah. And in fact, my son is a snare drum player, and he's in the marching arts. And he called the band director, a couple of years ago and said, "Hey, my dad was able to do this." He's like, "No, there's no way that's going to happen." So he had to sign up for one class. Yeah, exactly. And so we took that one class to be involved. But it was during the whole COVID thing, and his experience was not the greatest because they just didn't get to do anything. So.
Yeah, I can imagine too, especially, well, the same could be said for like a lot of people in terms of COVID, not being able to do a whole lot of anything too.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll talk about COVID in just a moment, but all right. So this is after band practice and everything, and still looking at your website here. It looks like you jumped around as a drummer for hire, and it looks like you also do teaching and stuff like that. I guess, how'd you get into those kind of roles right there?
Well, I got involved with teaching when I was a senior in high school. I had been taking lessons at our local music store, and then those drum teachers had moved on and they didn't have anybody. And I walked in the door one day because that was the place where me and my friends always hung out. We just wandered the store looking at everything. I mean, we had seen everything a million times, but we just enjoyed being in that environment. But the store owner came up to me and he said, "Hey, there's our new drum teacher." And I was looking around like, I don't have any credentials for that. And he said, "Look, just teach beginner drum lessons. Just show them what you know." And so over the years, I have always kind of been teaching a little bit on the side. And then in the last couple years, it became my full-time job that I teach. So I have 42 students right now that I teach every week, Monday through Thursday. And in here in my room is also a recording studio. So I offer recording drum tracks for people. And I have band rehearsals in here. I still play with a couple different groups that perform regularly. And just that drummer for hire thing. I'm really kind of modeling the Kenny Aronoff career.
I see, yeah.
So yeah, he's a huge inspiration to me, and a really great role model, I think, as far as having a music career and following that. So